Hello world, good morning. Welcome back to the Founders and Innovators Morning Show. I'm your host, Joia, and today I'm so delighted to be here with Jason, who is a visionary coach and knows so much about creativity and how to draw creativity out of entrepreneurs. So thank you so much, Jason, for being here with me.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is awesome.
So I thought we could even start out with maybe you could give us your definition of creativity. What is the creative process all about?
Sure. Creativity is really code for freedom. And, where individuals and artists and entrepreneurs typically relate to themselves as being creative, sure. We tend to have lots of great ideas, and we have novel ideas and insights and stuff like that. But creativity, like code for freedom, is a little more in depth than just that. And what that really looks like is being creative is being willing to go beyond ordinary ideas and creative ideas. Being creative looks like what I like to go into the conversation with most people is, not just pushing themselves, but the areas of being uncomfortable with their ideas and their creativity. Having a great idea that works is great. There's nothing wrong with that. And whether that's the case or it's somebody who's struggling, to really expand their creativity in general, I often create an experience in a conversation where they actually expand it by going beyond the rules. In the world of freedom and not just doing what you want, but being responsible about it, there's like a whole spirit of rebellion. There's a whole spirit of not being concerned with getting it right, fear of rejection, fitting in, and that's typically uncomfortable material and territory for most entrepreneurs and artists. We all want success. We all want to get that home run. We want a slam dunk, and that's great. But in terms of creativity as a phenomenon and being creative, expanding it, there's actually a spirit of rebellion that I like to get into with people.
That sounds really fascinating, because I know when I think of creativity, some of the first words I don't necessarily think of are words like rebellion or freedom or even discomfort, because freedom or creativity is typically a very positive word. We have a lot of positive connotations around creativity. You don't necessarily think about discomfort, but I think there's something really true to that. It even reminds me of an important lesson I learned back in my first career when I was a professor of English. And some of the best teachers I had always had us, when we were reading a text, look for the things that were strange, look for the things that maybe threw off our assumptions about how the world works or how things should be. That when you go to that place where things are maybe a little bit uncomfortable, that's where there's real opportunity for growth and for something new, a new idea or insight to emerge. So I'm curious to hear more about even your practice as a visionary coach. So can you tell us a little bit more about what you do with clients that helps them with their visions?
Certainly. And, I just wanted to touch on one quick little thing that was there for me as you were just sharing. Being creative is very much like being on a hero's journey, being on a hero's path, where you are typically alone in cultivating and managing and expanding your vision. So I just want to touch on that. And then, how to answer the other question. So I have a coaching business where I work with entrepreneurs and creative expressionists, and that's artists, commercial artists, it could be art directors, creative directors, fashion designers, musicians, and I have an actual 8-week program. I have all these different modules, go week by week, where I work with an individual to step through the pragmatics of bringing their vision to life. Beginning with really getting the vision down, really being able to pronounce it powerfully and share it, for the sake of, sharing it and creating community. Then I dives into actually testing your vision out, testing and researching, talking to people and getting feedback, not just having a great idea and going and spending a bunch of money, but just like actually find out and challenge yourself, challenge your vision. Further, the rest of the 2-month program I offer, an individual gets to, really go through sort of like a product management or product development scenario with their brand or their project, whatever it looks like. So.
Can you tell us a little bit more about this idea of the importance of doing research and testing? Because I know this is something I see a lot in the entrepreneurial community. People, they get this really great idea and their first thought is, oh my God, I've got to go get funding so that I can bring my idea to life. But it sounds like you're saying, before we even do that, that there's this other important phase that comes first that has to do with research and getting to know the audience. Can you say a little bit more about that? Do you maybe even have a story of someone who did this that you worked with?
Yeah, let me see. So working with one of my clients as of late, she's a hat designer, and her whole project is around creating these highly unique, basically like artistic hats, one of a kind hats. And so she had, where she started out 12 years ago, she just kind of started creating these things and putting them into a couple different shops. People really liked her hats, and she was getting into some art shows, and she was getting some validation around her hats and interest and some sales. And then a couple things happened where, a couple of the shops went out of business. She lost steam around her being inspired around her project, and just stopped making hats so much, and went back into like survival mode. And then when I started working with her this past fall, she wanted to go back into creating unique hats again. And what I propose and what we've been working on is actually like really, really validating the direction, validating the vision before she spends money or asks for money and goes to a factory with a design. And what that really looks like, it's pretty simple. You develop your sketches, in her case, actual watercolor drawings, paintings, or even physical hats, and then go out into the world, go out and really go into her community and get feedback, ask questions, ask open-ended, sometimes tough questions, to really validate that. And I know this is like a artistic, you're solving a problem no matter what you're creating. Like and for her, it's like, how does the audience not just perceive her craft, but how can she see that she can serve the audience beyond their expectations with her craft? Not just making a hat, putting it out there, but getting behind the scenes, really getting on the team of her actual audience and being able to surprise them, be able to give them something as almost like an experience, not just a hat itself, but going deeper into it.
Oh, I love all of what you're saying. Even just this idea that what creativity is about, that at root it is about problem solving. Problem solving where there isn't necessarily just one or an obvious answer, but what we have to do is generate a wealth or a range perhaps of solutions, and then maybe figure out which would be the best. And then I love this idea too of even going beyond what the customer might expect, going beyond just the problem of designing a hat to even creating a whole experience around the hat that goes above and beyond for the customer. That also is really great.
Yeah.
As you've been saying this, I'm curious, in your experience, have you noticed, are there areas where you find that entrepreneurs or creators often go wrong? Can you give our audience maybe, warning signs or things to look out for as they're trying to develop their own creative solutions to problems?
I would say number one, beware of your assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
Test your assumptions. Find out. Test your hypothesis in the real world before you commit more than necessary, let's say. So I think that's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that I see that people tend to go wrong, it's like even going beyond that. They got their assumption and they know it's a great idea, and they talk to three people, and what they tend to do is find people who will agree with them. They don't really go and find people who disagree with them or challenge,
Mm-hmm.
what their idea is or their solution. And that's part of the challenge for people. And they don't want to be challenged. They want validation. And I think the dangerous move is not challenging yourself, not finding out.
And so here we're just going back again to this theme of discomfort. And it's almost ironic because what I hear you saying is that in what we often call the process of validation, what we don't want is people who are just going to be yes people and validate everything we say. That the process of validation is maybe even more accurately a process of invalidation, where we ought to go out and seek out the people who will challenge our ideas and push us to that zone where things are uncomfortable, and we have to really do the uncomfortable questioning that most people don't want to do.
Yeah, being a visionary is just like being a hero's journey. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like, you leave your village of comforts. You leave what you've known for a long time, and you go out into this wild, weird world and experience with, with your vision and your ideas of your project. And that's where you come up against these uncomfortable monsters, these
Mm-hmm.
and what's funny is the uncomfortableness is part of how to really measure how far you're really going with your vision, how far you're willing to really stand for your vision. And when people don't like what you do, it hits you personally. And
Mm-hmm.
it hits you with, creates doubt. It creates that, all the self-critical stuff starts bubbling up for people. And that's a challenge as well. And as a coach, that's how I really support people,
Mm-hmm.
not only just creating, a product by, some structures, but having some, I'm somebody who's I'm in somebody's corner around what they actually come up against, psychologically, emotionally, and otherwise. And I help keep people unstuck, get unstuck, get unstopped. If you don't get criticism for what you're creating, you might consider that it's possibly not that outstanding of an idea.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love everything you're saying. It actually resonates so much with, I think, my own approach to coaching, because it's the kind of tension that I love to challenge clients with as well, to push them to that area where they really are challenging themselves and going to that place where things might not seem so easy, but then also providing the support and the encouragement that they need, the positive energy that will help them break through all of the discomfortable feelings, and then actually get them on the other end to a place that's even more positive, from when they started, precisely because they've gone and really tackled the difficult stuff as well.
Exactly. Once you've gone way out into the wild and you've slept in the woods of your doubts and your judgments and your worries and your concerns, and what happens is your skin gets thicker. In a matter of time, when you go back to your village, so to speak, or and you're like this warrior, you're like this emboldened, you're this other person, and that's what I can hear in what you do as a coach as well. It's like you help, it's growth, right?
Mm-hmm. So if people are interested to learn more about you, your work, your coaching. I know you also do these really great workshops in New York City. So tell people how they can find out more.
That's right. So my coaching business is Hand of Gravity. That's what it's called. Handofgravity.com is my website. You can find me on Facebook. And I do have an Instagram handle when there's some content there. And on my further, I have these monthly workshops for advanced creativity, really going into just exactly what I've been sharing here. How to really measure how creative your results really are, how to push your creativity, how to cultivate your sense of being inspired so that you really have an endless kind of energy in what you're up to. And yeah, so yeah, you can find me online.
Oh, that sounds great. And we'll definitely put all of those links in the show notes. And I'm looking forward to, because I'm in the New York City area, I'm looking forward to seeing more of your workshops and what you do with this.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you around more as well. So my workshops are going to be every third Tuesday of the month. I'm going to be doing this all year. I'm hosting the workshops right now in Greenpoint, the north part of Brooklyn. And I've got a great little sort of schoolroom type environment there I can host up to 20 people. So.
Oh, it sounds great. Well, thank you so much for being here this morning, Jason.
All right. Thanks for having me.
And thank you, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful morning. Thanks for joining us today. Please don't forget to subscribe, review, and share this show. If you'd like exclusive content and behind-the-scenes insight, for just $4 a month, you can support us at buymeacoffee.com. Now, go make it a great day.